Hey crafty people! Welcome back to my channel, and in case you're new here, I'm Sarah, also known as Craft Nerd because I'm a nerd who loves to craft. I do paper crafting, card making, junk journaling, and mixed media art. Let's get crafting! Oh, welcome to my channel. In case you're new or you missed my first video of 2026, what I'm planning to do this year is each month focus on a particular craft product, so that I can hopefully do a better job of using my stash of stuff. And so for the month of February, the focus is going to be fabric, lace, and ribbon. And of course, with junk journaling, the first thing I think of when I think fabric is junk journal covers. The main reason I buy fabric is for making covers, and I have bought way too much for the amount of covers I'm ever going to make in my lifetime, but you know, we're going to try here. So I've got out 3 covers. I've already pre-cut the fabric for that. I want to show you how I do my junk journal covers. So let's start with this top one first, because it's also going to be 3 variations on fabric covers. So for version 1, I have got some Amazon packaging, and this is the less squishy stuff. And what I tend to do is cut it down to size and then flip it, because some of the fabrics, especially if you're using like cottons, be a little see-through. So you'll see the Amazon packaging like printing through the fabric. So this I'm trying to think. I did this a few days ago, and now I'm trying to remember what my thought process was. All right, I think for this one, what I decided I wanted to do is glue these 2 pieces together, and I'm going to be a bit careful in doing that because my address is on one of these pieces. I'm just going to put a little glue, and I'm going to take these to my sewing machine and sew them. So the glue's really just kind of to keep everything together while I'm working. Okay, good. I don't think you'll be able to see my address. Now I'm going to switch to my Fabri-Tac, and I'm just going to tack the fabric, and these are from one of the Tim Holtz palette collections, and as you can see, my gluing of this together was not very good since it's already shifting. All right, stay. It's not going to stay. That is not enough glue. All right, let's add more glue so that we can hopefully get this to actually stay together. Now, I'm just going to stick a little bit of glue in the center. Yeah, here's the thing. When you do the double layers, here's something you'll notice. They start out perfectly lined up together when it's flat, but when you fold, because there's some bulk there, it shifts. And so what I'm going to do is grab my scissors. And now I'm going to glue this piece in place, and this gives the center some space to move so that when I go like that, we don't have an issue. So let's do that. I'm going to do this and just trim a little off from our center, since that's where we're going to sew in our signatures, and I don't necessarily need that extra funky bulk there. All right, now this is going to be my inside. This is my outside. This is the fabric I selected for the outside. We're going to lay this down. We are going to take one side of this and just add a little glue to the center, and I am going to smooth that out so that we don't have any lumpy bits showing, because the outside fabric is rather thin. Do that, and we're going to do the same thing on this side. Alright, now for the inside, I am going to take my inside fabric and line that up and just kind of glue it down. Again, just enough to tack it in place. If you are not going to sew, you're going to want to do more glue than I'm doing and make sure you glue the edges really well. But since I am going to take this to my sewing machine after I'm done here, well, actually, after the glue dries. That's another thing. If you're going to sew, you want to let your glue dry completely or you're going to gunk up your sewing machine. And I'm okay with there being a little extra fabric there in the center. However, I do want it to be more lined up with the top there. Now I know the top and the bottom aren't exactly perfectly lined up, but for this one, what I plan on doing is, come on, I am gonna sew not at the very edges of the fabric, but at the edge of the packaging, and then fray the edges, because I think that would look kind of cool with this fabric. So yeah, you can see the glue a little bit through here. Hopefully once it's dry, that'll be less noticeable. Otherwise, that'll become the back. So I'm gonna set this aside and let it dry completely before I take it to my sewing machine, and then I'll bring it back after I've sewn it. I'm not gonna sew on camera because quite frankly, you don't want to learn using a sewing machine from me. I do not have mad sewing machine skills. So I will set that one aside. All right, so next up is I've got this chicken fabric I picked up at Joann's before Joann's closed, and I'm going to make a journal for my sister. And what I was thinking I was going to do for this one is an elastic binding, and just do it as a one signature so she can like take paper out, put paper in as she uses it. So for this one, what I want to do is I like the squishiness of the Amazon packaging, but because I'm doing the eyelet elastic binding, I didn't want a soft squishy cover. So I took some comic book board, cut it down to, this piece is 9 by, I think 6, yes. And I've got a 1-inch spine. And so we are going to have the squishiness on the outside. So I'm going to put a little bit of glue on here. Set that down, maybe over a little bit more. And then do this guy for our spine. There. Feels like it's not straight. I don't know why. We're just gonna go with it. All right, so now what I want to do is wrap the fabric up over the comic book board. Now, I've never tried doing this for a fabric cover before, so we're gonna see how it works. Hopefully it'll work. I forgot to cut my corner off before I did this. So we'll do that up at the top corners before we forget, because you don't want all of the bulk of folding it over multiple times on the corner. Like, if I don't cut stuff out and then I fold over here, it's really bulky and I don't want that. So we're gonna snip off this, but you don't want to cut all the way to the corner because you want to have enough fabric to cover up your corner. So let's get back over here. That piece is down. Let's go ahead and do the top down and then we'll do the sides. A little glue to the corners to hopefully get it to cooperate and fold over nicely. And then glue along there. I'm not 100% sure that I'll be able to sew through this. So I may or may not be sewing this one. I may give it a try and then see how that goes. And what I think I'm going to do is do the outside cover and inside cover separate from each other. And I'm also going to wait until everything's dry before I trim any excess at the corners. Because yeah, we got a little extra going on over at this corner and that corner, and I'm gonna let this dry and then fiddle with the corners to make sure they're nice and neat. I also may add book corners to it just to help out, and let's hope that glue is not as blotchy when it's dry, since this one I can't really flip it because the chickens would be upside down. All right, I'm going to set that piece aside and bring over the pieces for inside cover. And we are going to use our outside cover to lay them out to make sure everything lines up properly when we go to put them together. And I've got this orange flannel for the inside. So again, I'm going to do a little bit of glue in the middle of everybody. And we're going to wrap again. Oh, look, I'm not even on screen. I'm sorry if I wasn't on screen for any of that. I thought I was up high enough. So they should line up hopefully just right. And what I'll do is I'll glue them together after I try stitching, and I'll do the gluing together on camera for you. So that will create a squishy hardcover journal. And I also plan on putting a pocket in. So I've got an extra piece of the fabric, but I want to stitch this and then wrap it around like so. So I'm gonna have to stitch it before I put it in. I'm trying to decide. I think I'm definitely gonna stitch down that part, and then I may attach it and run the whole thing through the sewing machine like that. I don't know. What I'll probably do is test stitching this piece and see if this is too thick for my sewing machine, and then decide what to do about the pocket. All right, so that one needs to be set aside to dry completely. Okay, now for the last one is full-on Amazon squishy packaging, which, as I pointed out with the other one, when you fold over, because of all of the bulk, they don't stay lined up. So what I am going to do is, oh good, I pulled my address off of this one. So I'm going to start by deciding which way I'm doing this. Is that going on the inside? Okay, so we're going to start by cutting the inside piece in half. And I don't know if I said, these are about 13 inches by 9. And then I cut my fabric to 14 by 9 because I use 8.5 by 11 paper folded in half, which makes my pages 8.5 by 5.5. I had a complete and utter brain freeze there, so we're just going to add some glue to this. And I did that, and that is not what I wanted to do yet. Okay, let's pull that off. That's all right. We're going to set that aside for a minute. We're going to cover the outside of this first, and I'm using this lovely ticking fabric I found at my neighborhood thrift store. I am going to cut the corners so that we can miter them and have neat corners. And I think on this one, I'm not going to bother putting any glue on the front since I've not been having great luck with that tonight. Just need to make sure. Did I cut too much off the corner? No, we'll be just okay. All right. Because it's got like that strip that I don't want on the front cover of the journal. So just need So obviously I need to clean up the corners once this dries. I'm going to set that aside for a minute. Then I'm going to bring back over. Actually, I'm going to bring back over. This piece is going to go here. And what I need to do is take my piece of fabric, I hopefully cut enough of, and I am going to cut it in half. And this is a tablecloth I didn't need anymore. So it does not, like, if I snip it and try and tear, it does not tear. It's like, no, I don't tear. You can cut me, but you cannot tear me. All right, so again, let's chomp off our corners. Actually, let's grab my other scissors, and this cut is really janky. Like, that's not even a little on the straight side. Let's... So very sticky. Bring our cover back over. This piece is going to go here like so. Our other piece is going to go over here. Let's straighten up all of this. There. And yes, we now have a gap, which is fine, and actually probably needs to be a little bit bigger because this piece is a little bigger than it needs to be. It's going over the side of the... That's not ideal. I did not cut that enough, I don't think. I did not. Okay, we're gonna do something a little radical. And it's okay, because we are gonna end up adding a strip down the center to cover. So let's make sure we're good now. We are good now. That folds over nicely. This piece will go here. Let's make sure it's the size we want it. All right, so we've got some sticking out over here. Let's trim some more down. It's gonna go like that. All right, that's good. What we're gonna do now is cover this one. Oops, sorry, same way I have covered all the others. So I'm gonna... horrible job on these corners now, didn't I? That corner is going to be at least passable. That corner is going to be towards the center, so it's all right because we're going to cover it. All right. All right. So this is going to go here. I am going to get a strip of fabric, which I don't have over here. Let me go get that. That's going to go down the middle. And then I also want to use this as a pocket. So that's going to go on like so, but I need to grab the fabric that's going to go there so that it's underneath the pocket. All right, let me go do that. I'll be right back. All right, so for the center strip, I am going to use a piece of the ticking. I'm going to cut it off a little bit longer so that we can fold over. And I want it to go onto here and on to this side. Is that about, yeah, that should be good. So we're gonna cut, let's do this. Now, what we're going to do is fold it over and glue it at the top and glue it at the bottom. And when I stitch, I will stitch up along here to add extra stability so that it stays down well, if that makes any sense. All right. Put some glue on there. I'm gonna wrap it over the top like so. Make sure our top is neat. Like that thing is like sticking up weird. We're just gonna bump that off a little bit. And that. All right. I've not done this on camera before. It's a lot harder to demonstrate than it is to do when I'm not trying to film. All right. I'm just gonna tack this guy in place so he doesn't move around on me. And this one, oh, that one's mostly tacked in place. Okay, great. Now I'm gonna do a little glue down here. Down, smooth that out, and then we're gonna add glue and wrap it over. Pretty good. And then this is going to go here. I'm going to cut off the bottom of this. I don't know if I said this, I got off of dust ruffle or bed skirt that I deconstructed to take this piece off of the lining. I am going to wrap it under and glue. And then we'll glue it up, and I'm not worried about mitering the corners, although I may take that off so that I don't, so I can use that flower for something else. So that it wasn't exactly there, but that'll do. All right, so this one I need to set aside, let it dry completely, and then I will do all of the sewing on this. So I will be back after everything's dried and I've done all of the sewing. Okay, so I have gone to my sewing machine and done all of the sewing. So we've got this one, and I love how this looks. I just love it so much. So that journal cover is done and is all set, and we've got the pockets. And I will admit, when I did the stitching on like this side, I went up over here and realized that's so funky because it left a line there. I was like, no, that's not where I need to do it. I need to do it right where the signatures are going to get sewn in. So I went back and fixed that. But I love, 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 love how this looks. Now this one is mostly done, but what I want to do is I want to fray the edges. So it's stitched in And actually I'm realizing I need to go back and restitch it because I stitched it on, and I'm afraid if I fray, it's going to fray too much and I'm going to end up seeing that. So I am going to go back in and stitch it off the edge of this piece, and then fray it. I'll give you a sample of fraying it so that I can do this, get this video finished and do that off camera. But basically what you're gonna do is you're gonna want something that is right in front of my face. So I've got my little pokey tool, something with a little bit of a point to it. You can use a needle, and I'm gonna come in, let's see, let's zoom in so you can see what I'm doing. And for up here, I'm going to pull up the pieces, the threads that are going crosswise, like are going, this is what, vertical. No, horizontal. And if you just pull those out, you get the fraying going on. So since I'm worried if I fray, the stitching will check the fraying, but if it frays all the way down to the stitching, you're going to see that. So I need to go back in and stitch along there. I was not paying attention when I did that. So I need to do that. And once I do that, this cover will be done. Now for this one, I want to do a hidden elastic binding. So I'm going to actually do that and finish putting this together, because we're going to, and it did stitch. I was able to stitch through it with the comic book board. I was very excited about that, but I definitely am not stitching through 2 layers. So I'm going to glue these guys together. And since I'm doing that, and since it's going to be difficult going through 2 layers of comic book board, I want to put the elastic binding in now, so it goes through just on this side, and then you won't see it on the outside of the journal. So we're going to start here. I'm going to grab my crocodile, and hopefully it will be strong enough. That is not my crocodile. My crocodile is not in that drawer. It is open. And I'm using the 3/16, and I am going to punch a hole. No, I want it to go higher than that. Or at least a little bit higher than that. And we're going to go about the middle. Let me do that. And we mostly got it through. And I'm super zoomed in, so you may not have been able to see. I don't know what I actually got on camera on that, because I forgot I was super zoomed in. All right, let's zoom back out. All right, there we go. So I'm just gonna use my crocodile, go up. No, that's the wrong side. Yay much. Hopefully it's about even. Punch. And it did go through. I just need to cut off the little excess bit of the flannel there. And I've got a couple eyelets. So we're gonna stick those in, and they kind of blend in. I like that. I never remember what ones it's supposed to be set on, so hopefully that's the right one. That seemed to have worked, so yep, that looks good. And then we'll stick the one down here. Let's cut away any excess fabric. Do that. Squish. There we go. There we go. And then I am going to thread my elastic through, and I've pulled out signature for a journal I've yet to create a cover for. And I'm realizing now I should have done that before I put the eyelets in so I could see better where they should line up, but it'll be all right. So I'm gonna snip that off, move that out of the way, and tie it firm, but not too tight. That can be a little tighter. And actually, let's put the knot down here at the bottom. Because we want the pages to stay in the journal, but we don't want to pull them too tight. That's good. I'll put another knot in the elastic. Slip this out and then try slipping it back in to make sure it's gonna work. And it will. All right, that's good. So it'll go like that. Yay. Now what we're gonna do is take this out, set it off to the side, bring this piece over and glue the two pieces together. I think I'm gonna go ahead and use Fabri-Tac. Run some down here, but I'm definitely going to spread it out with my finger because this fabric is thin and it did show through and it didn't dry as nicely as I would have liked. So we're just going to make sure we spread that out as much as possible and make sure our pocket and our cover are going the right way. Line that up and press that into the groove there, and that over here. Yeah, that's gonna end up staying. Of course, the spot that got gloopy, the worst gloopiness seems to be in the front, but I think what I'm gonna end up doing is doing like a journal topper over top, using the same pattern to kind of cover up the gloopiness. And I may maybe put a little black lace on the spine to cover up the gloopiness over here. So there we go. That journal cover is done. This journal cover, after I fix it, will be done, but we'll pretend like it's done. And then this journal cover is done. I love those pockets. I love this pocket. So that's all for today. If you enjoyed this video, please do all the things that let YouTube know you enjoyed the video. Like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, leave me a comment down below. Thanks for joining me, and happy crafting.